Did you struggle with paragraph heading on the IELTS reading section? Yes, the question type showing on my screen right now. Yes, the one that requires you to appropriate or attach each paragraph to its respective heading or titles. Yeah, a lot of students struggle with that question type. And if you're here right now, it probably means that you are just one of those students. But trust me, I'm here to put you out of your misery. Yes, so if you struggle with this question type, especially when it has to do with determining which title makes sense between two titles for one paragraph, you're struggling. Oh, this one seems to make sense for the paragraph, but I think this one is better. If that is your issue, then you're on the right spot today, because I'm literally going to take you through the hand and show you my 4 different techniques, 4 different but then interrelated techniques that always help me get this question type correctly. So come with me. Before then, right, remember to just do me a little favor and click on the subscribe button. That is if you're entirely new here. Let's do this together now. Okay then, so you want to stick around to the end of this video, because believe me, the last tip I'm going to introduce here today is probably something you have never heard from any other tutor. And trust me, I've been doing this for 5 years and it has worked for many of my students, especially those who struggle to comprehend lengthy paragraphs. Yes, now the first thing you want to do once you get the question, don't panic. Take some time, understand what the question requires from you, understand when the question is a paragraph heading question, and you will typically have that when the question simply says choose the letters A to blah 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 respective to paragraphs blah blah blah. Right? So it is shown on my screen right now if you didn't understand what that means. Yes, this is exactly how the question often comes, because a lot of times students can confuse it with another question type, which I'm going to discuss in another episode on this playlist, by the way. So having understood that you're dealing with paragraph heading question, what do you have to do? You think you should jump into the passage already? No. Take a breather. Take a scan of the titles you have. Yes, it's important to take a scan of the title. This is what that will help you gain a grasp of, right? So when you take a scan of the titles, you are setting what each title requires of you. You are able also to put each of the titles in your own words. You want to make sure you sort of gain some understanding of what each of the titles require you to do. Especially pay attention to when the titles come with singular or pronouns. Trust me, you will see how important that is in a practice I am going to show in a subsequent video. Yes, so understand that before moving into the paragraphs. Now the next thing you want to do, read each paragraph at a time. Try not to compound your misery by reading too many paragraphs at a time. Read one paragraph at a time. Right now, when you begin reading the paragraph, you're looking for one thing. You're looking for the recurrence of keywords that you can see from any of the titles, and it's something you should know, right? If the paragraph is perfect for a title, you will find that the keywords from that title is rephrased a lot of times in that paragraph. Yes, it is rephrased a lot of times in that paragraph. It is not a detail or a keyword you can see in just one particular location of the paragraph, because that is a trick the IELTS reading section plays on test takers a lot of the times. You will find that there is a certain keyword or certain phrase you can find in the title, but you can only find that particular keyword or key phrase in a limited portion of the text. So you want to be certain that the keywords, right, in a title that befit the paragraph concerning that title must be mentioned a couple of times and rephrased or demonstrated a couple of times. It must form the bulk of the discussion in that paragraph. Tip number 3, or step number 3. Ensure by the time you're done within a paragraph, you have a sense of what the answer should look like. This is very important, right? You find that you're better able to make logical prediction from what the answer should look like if you don't jump right into the titles at once to go and look for the title for the paragraph you just finished reading. Have a sense of what, if you imagine yourself being the one to give that paragraph a title, what would you title it? That's the question you're asking yourself. After reading, you should ask yourself, this paragraph, right, what title would I give it? It's just like watching a movie, right? Watching an entire episode of a movie and giving it a title, I'm sure that will be easy to do, right? Because the details that form the bulk of the story, the storyline of that particular episode you watched, would stand out to you, and you can easily tell, oh, this film is going to be about a wicked mother-in-law, or this film is going to be about a lover girl. So that is the mindset you should master putting yourself in as you deal with this question type. Now, finally, and probably the most important tip, I'm sure that is probably one of the reasons you are seated on the edge of your seat right now. Now, pay close attention. If you're struggling to determine which title, right, makes perfect sense for a particular paragraph, because a lot of times you find that there are two titles that seem to be close for a particular paragraph, but you're just uncertain because you can find keywords from that title, from one of the titles in the paragraph. You can also find keywords from the other title in that same paragraph, so you're sort of confused which makes better sense. Now, this is what I do, especially when the paragraph is very lengthy and you find that it is hard for you to, of course, comprehend everything in a sitting. I mean, considering the tense exam environment you could be in at a point in time. This is what you are meant to do. Count the number of times you can see the words mentioned in a title in that paragraph and compare with the number of times you can see the words from another title in the same paragraph. I'll give you a quick instance. So let's say you have a title that comes this way: the lifestyle of night animals, or the lifestyle of animals in general. Lifestyle of animals, written on my screen right now. And you have on that title that comes this way: feeding habits of animals. So you see, different titles entirely. One is about the lifestyle in general, one is about feeding. Now you find that feeding is a lifestyle, right? So it could be confusing to determine which between both titles makes sense for a particular paragraph. Now, as you read that paragraph, count the number of times you see words like lifestyle, mannerisms, behavior, adaptation techniques. These are all rephrased forms of the word lifestyle, right? So count the number of times you can see those words, or even the word lifestyle itself in that paragraph, and count the number of times you can see words like feeding, eating, predation, survival, right? Stomach grumbling, all of those instances, right, that rephrase the idea of feeding, and compare. Bingo, it is usually that easy. Paragraph heading. Yes. Now, I know this old tips I just gave to you now is probably sounding a little far-fetched or too common. Calm down. I'm going to take you by the hand and show you how this works in the subsequent video. The next video you're seeing on my screen right now, you want to click on that video and watch how I put all of these tips in practice. See you there.